Oh, Phoebes. Just, I love you. But you're going to have to get, unless you want to give the message. You want to do the message? Okay, okay. I know this will be the best part of the video right there. Hi. I'm here on a Monday morning to redo my Sunday message because I know it was going to get blocked because of copyright issues. I used a song by Brandi Carlile to lead into the message entitled The Story. It's been out for a number of years. And I encourage you to listen to the song before or after this message. So here we go. And it was something I ended up writing like the day before on Saturday. So I didn't put it to memory or anything, so I'm just going to read it to you, okay? It won't be that long, I promise, but I've just felt led by the Spirit to do this, okay? She was 15 and she believed. She hadn't been raised in the church exactly, but somewhere along the way she found her way in. Drawn by something tender and true. Something that stirred in the songs and stories, the altar calls and hush of prayer. Faith wasn't a family tradition for her. It was a longing of her own, something she claimed like a second skin. And when it came time to step into the baptistry, she didn't hesitate. She believed in grace. She believed it was for her. The water had been poured the night before from the garden hose, cold and clean and sufficient. There's nothing magical about it, only what it means to the person that's wading into it. That you are received, that you are forgiven, and that you are claimed. That you belong not just to God, but to this people and this place. But just before the service, her youth pastor pulled her aside. He looked troubled, like a man carrying something that didn't fit in his hands. He had learned something, he said to her, something that changed the equation, altered the plan. She was gay. And so he told her he couldn't baptize her. Not now. Not like this. The service went on as they do. The music played, the people smiled, the sanctuary buzzed with the quiet liturgies of Sunday. And she sat there in her white dress, watching someone else and others rise from the waters. She sat there still believing in God, but no longer certain that God believed in her. The girl's name? Brandi Carlile. You may know her music, her voice. I love it. It sounds like something that is shaped by wind and wood smoke and prayer. A sound that comes from someone who knows what it means to be turned away and yet still keep loving. Today she's a mother, a wife, an artist who's won awards she never dreamed of winning. But before all of that, she was a 15-year-old girl who believed that the water was for her until someone told her it wasn't. And still, to this day, she sings. They asked her once in an interview what she would have become if not a musician. And she didn't pause, not for a second. A preacher, she said. And she is. Because preaching in its truest form isn't about standing behind a pulpit, okay? It isn't. It's about naming something that is sacred and doing it out loud. It's about telling the truth in such a way that it calls people back to themselves and to one another. It's about revealing the wideness of God's mercy in the way that people simply cannot deny. You hear it when she sings of the quiet ones, those overlooked, like the boys with impeccable style and nervous hearts, the girls too strong or too soft for the world's categories. In her song, The Joke, Brandy sings, "Let 'em laugh while they can, let 'em spin, let 'em scatter in the wind. I've been to the movies. I've seen how it ends, and the joke's on them." You hear it also in the song Crowded Table. She sings, "I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. To me, that sounds like the voice of God." Not the voice we often assign to God in our systems and sermons, but the voice that Jesus used when he told stories about runaway sons and shepherds who left the 99 to go after the one. The voice that didn't ask for credentials before breaking bread. The voice that said again and again, "Come on in. Come on home. Come to the table." There's a reason this story matters. And it's not just because it is Brandy's story. It's because it's not only hers. We're living in a time when data out there often says things that the church doesn't want to hear. Statistically, religious participation is one of the strongest predictors of personal well-being in the U.S. It reduces depression, it increases self-esteem, it lowers the risk of suicide in every people group in America except for one. For LGBTQ people, religious participation does just the opposite. It tends to increase depression and suicidal ideation. It doesn't heal, it hurts. Not because LGBTQ people are less spiritual, but because too many churches have told them, explicitly or silently, they're not quite welcome in the water, that they don't fully belong. And this is where theology becomes more than an intellectual exercise. This is where it becomes more of a matter of life and death. We're not just talking about doctrine here. We're talking about sons and daughters, nieces and nephews, grandchildren, classmates and friends. We're talking about 15-year-old girls sitting in pews with unanswered prayers in their chests. We're talking about people wondering if the love of God has fine print that kind of leaves them out of the equation. My God, what are we doing to our children? Years later, Brandi Carlile wrote in her memoir, Broken Horses, that she reached out to that same youth pastor, not to shame him, but to forgive him. To say in essence, you did not take God away from me. God stayed. That kind of forgiveness echoes the gospel more than many sermons I've heard. It's not the kind that excuses harm, but it is the kind that refuses to let harm have the final say and to define the story. We like to imagine our churches, I think, as being places that are warm and welcoming, and for many they are. But the real question isn't whether we welcome people politely. It's whether they're missed when they're not there, whether we notice, whether we ache. I recently heard a workshop leader say it this way in a conversation about children with autism and the church. They said, and I love this, diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. Belonging is being missed when you're not there. Brandi Carlile sadly wasn't missed in her church that day, but she found her way home anyway. And now she's building what her church could not, a crowded table. a room by the fire for everyone, a gospel without expiration dates. The Apostle Paul, writing to the Ephesians, puts it like this: I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth derives its name. Every family. Not just some families, not just the tidy ones, not just the ones who seem to have their act together. No. Every family. And Paul goes on to pray that we might grasp the love of Christ, not just with our minds, but within our very bones. Maybe that's the prayer we still need the most. Not a prayer for certainty, to have all the answers, but for understanding and comprehension. A prayer not for control, but for compassion. It's a prayer for the kind of knowing that widens the heart. It's a prayer for a gospel that doesn't require agreement as the price of welcome. It's a prayer for the kind of love that makes us kneel, because simply standing, we can't bear the weight of it. I don't know, the older I get, the more I believe that the heart of the gospel is not a call to agreement. It's a call to see people as God sees them, and to love them with whatever strength that vision gives us. Friends, this is a gospel story. It's a story about a teenage girl who never made it into the water, and a God who never stopped singing her name. And if following that kind of love takes us into unfamiliar places, into deeper questions, wider mercy, harder conversations, then so be it. Because we still need the kind of church where no child has to wonder if the waters of baptism are meant for them. So, dear friends, may we tend the fire of welcome in Jesus' name until its warmth reaches every soul who draws near. Because there are children who are coming, and they need to know without a shadow of a doubt that they belong. That they always have. And that the table was never truly full without them. Amen.